not thinking about the future. And I think that is the importance of an organization like this, and that is the importance of events like this. We cannot live our lives with only today in mind. We cannot go about our businesses and our activities. We can't consume our future just because we want to be comfortable today. We must, in every decision that we take and every activity that we get involved in, we must remember, how will this affect those who are coming behind us? How will it affect the earth, the environment in which we operate? What legacy are we leaving behind for those who are coming? Will it be said that just because we wanted to drive SUVs today, and just because we wanted the convenience of all of us having our presentations in handy pieces of paper today, that we have destroyed the earth, so much so that those who are coming behind do not have clean air to breathe? Far be it from us. Now, I want to go into my specific topic, and you will pardon me in the interest of sustainability. My topic is, my message is in this little tiny device in my hand. And I'm sure, as you have been observing since morning, and I have seemed to be fiddling with this, I was not making calls, I was not sending SMSs, I was not being rude, I was just preparing to address you. So, it's great to be here at the 4th Africa Conference on Business and Human Rights. And this theme, Advancing Sustainability Principles for National Development, I must say, is very active. Business and government circles is sustainability. Of course, we are aware that the United Nations approved 17 Sustainability Development Goals. So this word sustainability itself has been defined by the United Nations as the ability to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I want to emphasize again that sustainability is about our ability to meet our needs today without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs when their time comes. We must not consume their future in our today. The African continent in particular suffers from serious environmental problems such as deforestation. We have felled all the trees in the wood, and so we are not sure that there will be shade tomorrow for our children. Unfortunately, we are still felling. I mean, I was speaking with somebody yesterday who is involved in agribusiness, and specifically who is involved in wood, and they began to explain to us that you will be amazed to what extent we have already, what's the word? We have already I want to use the right. Yes, apart from that, we've essentially destroyed, you know, the forests and the woods of Africa, so much that we are now importing wood from a place, to a place where originally used to be full of forests. So, deforestation, wetland degradation, soil erosion, along with social problems such as rapid increase in population amidst tepid economic growth. So our population is growing very rapidly, but our economy is growing very slowly. And of course, what that means is that resources will be inadequate to feed these children that we are giving birth to today. The low rate of participation of women and youth in the political, economic, and social spheres of various African countries is also a risk to the sustainability of our society. I have never seen any bird fly with one wing and hope to get very far. By continuing to populate our political leadership, our business leadership, our economic leadership with only one gender, when God created two, we are, as it were, trying to fly with one wing tied behind us. It cannot take us far. So this is also a threat to the sustainability of our economy and our polity. So, what then needs to be done. The challenges I have discussed, they pose a significant threat to the long-term economic growth and development of the African continent and our future generations. In response to these issues, the United Nations General Assembly set a collection of 17 global goals and 164 targets to be achieved by 2030. These sustainable development goals cover poverty, hunger, health, education, amongst others, majority of which affect especially Africa. The financial system is a vital aspect of any economy and thus integral to achieving the SDGs set by the UN. The Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative was launched in 2009 by former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon with the mission to build the capacity of our stock exchanges and security market regulators to enable them promote responsible investment in sustainable development activities and advance corporate performance on environmental, social, and governance issues. In other words, the stock exchanges, the security exchanges, the investment community to which I belong, we have a key role to play in advancing the sustainable development goals. If we continue to encourage investment in aspects of the economy that will not help us to have a sustainable future, we're doing the wrong thing. If we do not put our money where our mouth is, we're doing the wrong thing. So we can preach sustainability. I said the essence of sustainable stock exchange initiative is that we can preach sustainability from now to high heaven. If we're not investing in sustainable initiatives, we're really just deceiving ourselves. So clearly, the investment community has a big role to play. As the intersection between companies and investors, stock exchanges are uniquely positioned to contribute to the achievement of 4 respective SDG goals. 1, gender equality. 2, decent work and economic growth. 3, responsible consumption and production. And climate action. I don't know whether the stock exchange and the other securities exchanges were invited to this event.
You're the head of CSR
so if when we're engaging with the securities exchanges, if we're engaging with their CSR teams, they're going to just think that, okay, this is just about giving back. But once they begin to understand that this sustainable development goals is about integrating sustainable initiatives into the investment process itself, into product creation itself, ensuring that we are creating and we are backing green initiatives and green products, chances are they will get more excited because typically money people just want to know how to make more money. So sometimes the message is not so much, come and learn why you should do CSR. The message should be a pays to do good. Yes. Come and do good, and I can assure you that you will do well. So this initiative is about how we can make money whilst doing the right thing. And incidentally, increasingly, investment houses are discovering that there are a lot of initiatives, such as clean energy initiatives, that will also make money for everybody without destroying the environment. An Africa Human Development Report published in 2016 by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, stated that gender inequality, now I'm bringing it home to what affects at least 4 of us out of the 6 people at this table. And I'm very happy by the level of diversification that I see on this table. So, that report stated that gender inequality is costing sub-Saharan Africa an average of $95 billion a year, or 6% of the region's GDP. We're losing 6% GDP growth year after year because we're not including the women. So where, for example, our average GDP growth was 3%, it could actually be 9%. That's what this report is saying. And specifically, $95 billion a year is being lost simply as a result of gender inequality. It's sabotaging the continent's efforts for inclusive human development and economic growth. Globally, women take home 1/10. I'm going to repeat myself. Globally, women take home just 1/10 of global income. Whilst men take home 9/10 of the global money that is being made today by way of salaries, by way of investment income, by way of business rewards, whatever it is, by way of share dividends. Women take only 10%. And guess what? Women contribute 2/3, 2/3 of global working hours. So we are putting in 2/3 of global working hours to earn 1/10 of global income. Something needs to change. According to a 2016 review of 1,000 listed companies by Bloomberg LP, the average representation of women in leadership was 23% in senior management, 21% on boards, 4% have a female chairperson, and 3% have a female CEO. And by the way, that's the global rate, and really it has been greatly affected by the developed countries. If we're coming home to Africa, those proportions are much smaller. Various studies in management reported that female representation in leadership has been shown to improve performance metrics in organizations, such as return on assets, return on equity, and earnings per share, whilst concurrently reducing volatility in performance. Let me explain that. There is a concept of volatility. Volatility is talking about the risk of not having consistent performance. And so the feeling has always been that if you take higher risks, you will make more money. This report is saying that they have found that by simply involving more women in management, on the board, in decision making, you make more money and yet volatility reduces. You make more money and yet the risk of not making money consistently reduces. Again, because in decision making, if everybody is thinking in the same way and seeing things in the same way, the likelihood that the organization will derail is higher. But if you have a diverse mix in those who are, the SSE has an ongoing collaboration with the World Federation of Exchanges, evaluating the role of stock exchanges in promoting economic development, particularly in the development of small and medium-scale enterprises, SMEs. In Africa, for those who don't know, SMEs actually contribute close to 70% of job opportunities across the entire continent. So 7 in 10 people seated in this room or seated in every average community are actually employed by an SME. So if we are going to have a future, we must devise ways at exchanges to support SMEs to access funding. So the high threshold that exchanges have for ability to access the market means that a lot of times these SMEs are excluded. But I'm glad that exchanges are coming up with, sometimes they're coming up with the alternative platforms that are meant to. In Nigeria, we now have the NASD that are meant for the smaller sized companies. Another initiative is the growth of green bonds listing across stock exchanges, including its listings on the Nigeria Stock Exchange and the FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange platforms, have raised awareness of the environmental and carbon issues that must be addressed by society to ensure sustainable economic growth. I'm glad that our next keynote speaker has had this consideration, and that's why she's going to be joining us via Skype. Green bonds are debt instruments used to finance or refinance activities related to environmentally beneficial projects, including climate change mitigation and adaptation efforts. Since the first issuance of green bonds in 2007, the labeled green bond market has grown to over $180 billion, outstanding as at the end of 2016. Green bonds finance an array of sectors, from clean and efficient energy to low carbon transported water to the waste for power initiative that I understand Chief Ewe is working on. Thus, the subscription to African green bonds will supply much needed investment to tackle sustainability challenges such as clean water, renewable energy, and clean air. Sustainable consumption and production are also fundamental to a sustainable and equitable future, as it means that societies are doing more with less resources, increasing economic gains and quality of life of its present and future generations. SSEs can dialogue with its issuing companies on possible sustainability practices that will reduce waste of valuable resources. I initiated a paperless initiative in my last life, and this is something that we are going to carry on going forward. Also, SSEs can provide guidance and training for companies on environmental, social, and governance reporting to ensure that its listed companies are aware of the need to report sustainability information. Like I learned today that Zenith was the first to start doing in Nigeria. I believe a lot more Nigerian companies are doing that now. Incentivizing them to undergo sustainability-related activities that will reduce waste of valuable resources. An important target for SSEs to tackle is the issue of climate change, as adverse climate change can negatively impact economic growth because it affects key climate-related sectors such as agriculture and manufacturing. Future climate risks are related to today's decisions, including how capital is invested and regulated. As a result, stock exchanges are in a good position to strengthen economic and climate resilience. Another key role of a sustainable stock exchange is to channel funding through the capital markets for large-scale investments in the agri-business value chain, to support the preservation, processing, transportation, and exportation of agricultural produce with a view to reducing the destruction of agricultural produce due to lack of preservation or processing alternatives. You may not be aware, but a greater proportion of our agricultural produce across Africa is wasted and consumed. Many times way beyond our consumption needs, but simply because there is no alternative. Preservation alternatives are not available, processing are not available, and so we dump food in the dustbin, whilst somewhere on the other side of the continent, somebody is going to bed hungry. African stock exchanges must therefore set, monitor, and ensure the implementation of proper governance in both listed companies and operators, because proper governance is indeed an imperative for business sustainability. Organizations must build trust, preserve their reputations and long-term business prospects through appropriate governance and risk management policies and practices. A growing number of stock exchanges such as the Toronto BMS and Malaysia and Johannesburg exchanges require or encourage their registrants to disclose sustainability and environmental information. Stock exchanges have also developed indices to identify companies that meet certain sustainability standards. I'm so happy that ICSR is today going to be giving awards to companies based on their sustainability policies. Those are the kind of initiatives that will take us in the direction we're going. The BMFBO Vespa Corporate Sustainability Index measures the total return of stocks issued on the Sao Paulo Stock Exchange, committed to corporate sustainability and social responsibility. The FTSE also, for good, IBEX Index comprises companies in the BME's IBEX 35 Index and the FTSE Spain All Cap Index that meet good standards of practice in corporate social responsibility and environmental sustainability. African stock exchanges can learn from these international counterparts, creating relevant indices based on sustainability practices of the listed companies to promote SDGs and boost the confidence of sustainability-minded investors. We must make it pay to do good. The increase in investment from these investors will boost economic growth. African exchanges should also consider requiring companies to adopt and implement reporting requirements for non-financial information that includes the assessment of climate risk, policy and strategies. The companies should identify relevant climate risks that they are facing and what measures they will undertake in mitigating the risk, and to what extent the risk will materialize. As such, investors and the general public will have a better assessment of the company's prospects and allocate their capital accordingly. Let me go further. The report should not just indicate, I'm rounding up, the report should not just indicate what risks that they are facing as a company, but it should indicate the climate risks that their activity